Ethan walked down the quiet streets of the city, the soft hum of distant traffic and the occasional flicker of neon lights above him, the only sounds breaking the silence. It was late, far later than usual, but the night had an eerie calm to it. The glowing city lights flickered in rhythmic patterns as he passed under street lamps, and the towering buildings stretched far above, casting long shadows onto the pavement below. There was something about the night that felt different. Ethan had just wrapped up another long shift at the tech firm he worked for. He had always been an overachiever, but tonight, the day felt longer than most. His mind buzzed with thoughts of deadlines, meetings, and the growing tension between his personal life and his job. His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden flash, a dawi, sharp, brilliant light in the sky that caught his eye. It wasn't a car's headlights nor a street lamp flickering. This was something more, something different. His curiosity piqued. Ethan turned his head upward, trying to make sense of the light. The glow pulsated, almost rhythmically, as if it were calling him. His heart began to race with a mixture of confusion and intrigue, but before he could move closer to investigate, the light vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving the sky dark again. A shiver ran down his spine, but he shrugged it off. Probably just a drone malfunction, he muttered to himself. He took a few more steps, but something felt off, like he wasn't alone. Just as he was about to dismiss it, he heard a soft thud, like something heavy had fallen nearby. Instinctively, Ethan's eyes darted to the side. In the dim glow of a nearby alleyway, he saw something, or rather someone lying motionless on the ground. A woman. Ethan hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether he should approach, but as a good Samaritan, he couldn't just leave her there. He stepped toward her, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the still night air. The closer he got, the more he could see. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost as if a soft, iridescent glow was radiating from her. It wasn't a trick of the light. There was something unnatural about it. The woman was lying on her side, her body limp and her face obscured by strands of long, dark hair. But as Ethan knelt beside her and gently reached out, brushing her hair away from her face, his breath caught in his throat. Her features were like nothing he had ever seen before, delicate yet striking. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, but with an otherworldly glow that seemed to shift with the shadows. Her eyes were closed, but there was a faint blue light beneath her eyelids, pulsing gently. Without thinking, Ethan gently touched her shoulder. "Hey, are you all right?" His voice was calm, though his heart pounded in his chest. Her body twitched. Ethan flinched, expecting her to wake up. But when her eyes opened, they didn't look human. Her pupils were elongated, glowing a faint blue as though they were made of liquid light. Her gaze seemed to pierce through him as if she were seeing something inside him that no one else could. For a moment, neither of them moved. Ethan stared at her, frozen by the intense, otherworldly gaze. She blinked once, then twice, and finally spoke, her voice a soft, melodic whisper that felt like it was echoing from the depths of his mind. "The transformation. It begins." Ethan's confusion deepened. "What? What transformation?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. But before she could respond, her body jerked violently. She gasped for air as though struggling to breathe. Ethan instinctively pulled her into his arms, trying to help, but it felt like an electric charge was surging between them. His skin tingled where their bodies made contact, and an overwhelming warmth spread through him. "You need to help me," she said, her voice strained. Her hands gripped his shirt, and for a split second it felt like she was pulling something from him, an energy or maybe a force, something he couldn't explain. Suddenly, the woman's body relaxed and she fell completely limp in his arms. Her glowing eyes closed again, and her breathing became shallow, but steady. Ethan's heart raced, but there was nothing he could do. He was in shock. He had no idea who this woman was or what had just happened, but there was a strange, unsettling feeling building inside him, like he had just witnessed something important. Something that couldn't be undone. He carefully adjusted her in his arms, his mind racing. His thoughts were a blur, and he had no idea where to take her or what to do next. The city was quiet, and for some reason, he felt like he couldn't trust anyone around him. Without thinking, he made a split decision. He stood up, holding her carefully, and began walking toward his apartment. Just get her to safety, he muttered to himself. Just get her to safety and then figure this out. As he walked through the dimly lit streets, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something far bigger than him was happening. His heart still raced, his mind still spun, but beneath it all, there was something else. An undeniable pull. Connection to her, as if she wasn't just a stranger anymore. Ethan's apartment was eerily quiet as he laid the woman down on his couch. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted her head, making sure she was comfortable. He couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. Her words echoed in his mind. The transformation. It begins. What did she mean by that? Was it just a strange outburst? Or was there something deeper going on? The woman looked so fragile as she rested on his couch. Her glowing skin now dimmed, the pulsating blue light beneath her eyelids almost gone. For a moment it seemed like she was just another human being, until he remembered her eyes. The haunting glow, the way they seemed to look right through him, as if they could see every thought in his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't just a woman from Earth. Ethan paced the small living room, his thoughts racing. He should call someone, maybe the authorities, but what could he even say? I found an alien woman and she's glowing? No, that wouldn't make sense. There was no logical explanation for any of this. He had to figure it out on his own. As he walked back toward the couch, his mind began to settle, but the restlessness in his chest grew stronger. Suddenly his vision blurred, and he stumbled, feeling lightheaded. He braced himself against the kitchen counter, trying to steady his breathing. The room seemed to spin for a moment before it stopped, and he exhaled, trying to shake off the dizziness. That's when he felt it. Something was wrong. The air around him felt thick, charged with energy. He looked down at his hands, and for the first time, he noticed something strange. His veins, which had always been a dull blue, were now glowing faintly, just like the woman's. The glow was soft, almost imperceptible, but it was unmistakable. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Was this part of the transformation? His mind raced, with fear. Could this be happening to him? Without thinking, Ethan rushed back to the couch where the woman lay. He needed answers. He knelt down beside her, studying her face, hoping that whatever had caused this strange sensation in him would wear off. But as he watched her, the same blue glow began to pulse beneath her skin once more. The air felt electric, as though every molecule in the room was charged with something unnatural. Her eyelids fluttered, and she let out a soft groan. Ethan's eyes widened. She was waking up. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing softly, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. She looked up at him with an expression of both confusion and recognition. There was a moment of silence before she spoke in a voice that was barely above a whisper. It's happening. You're changing. Ethan froze. What do you mean? His voice cracked, and he could feel his pulse in his throat. What's happening to me? The woman's gaze softened, and despite the alien look in her eyes, there was something deeply human about the way she spoke. My name is Lyra, she said, her voice growing stronger. I'm from a distant galaxy, a place far beyond your understanding. You've been chosen for the transformation. Ethan's mind struggled to keep up with her words. Chosen? For what? I'm just a guy. What transformation? Lyra's gaze shifted downward, her fingers lightly tracing the edge of her glowing skin. The transformation that happens when an alien's DNA merges with a human's. It is the beginning of a new evolution. Your body will change just as mine did. But there is one thing you must understand: this is not just physical. It's mental, spiritual. She paused, her eyes locking with his. It will change who you are. It's inevitable. Ethan felt a chill run through him. The very thought of losing himself, of not being who he was, terrified him. What happens if I can't control it? What if I lose myself? He asked, his voice barely audible. Lyra reached out and placed her hand over his, her touch warm but filled with an energy he couldn't explain. If you fight the transformation, it will destroy you. The alien DNA is powerful, it takes control. But if you let it, if you accept it, you will be something greater than human. You will be something new. As she spoke, Ethan felt another wave of dizziness, this time stronger than before. He staggered back, his mind clouded with confusion. I don't want to lose who I am, he whispered, his voice shaky. Lyra's eyes softened, and she slowly stood, her glowing skin brighter now. You don't have to lose yourself, but you must trust it. You must trust the process. Before he could respond, another surge of energy pulsed through his body, stronger than anything he had felt before. Ethan gasped, his whole body shaking as the transformation took root. His vision blurred again, and this time it felt like his very being was splitting, his humanity and the alien essence fighting for control. The strange energy in his veins intensified, pulsing in time with his heartbeat. He could feel it in every fiber of his being, like the very air around him was electrified. He couldn't breathe, couldn't focus. It was as though his body was being torn apart and rebuilt all at once. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. Breathe, Ethan. Let it happen. Trust me. This is the only way. But Ethan couldn't think. His mind raced as his body spasmed, caught between two worlds, alien and human, chaos and control. He was losing himself. He tried to fight, to hold on to the person he had been, but it felt like the energy inside him was too strong. Please, he whispered, clutching his chest. I don't know how much more I can take. Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. You are strong, Ethan. The transformation is the next step. Embrace it, or it will consume you. And with that, the last remnants of his old self faded, and something new began to rise from within him. Ethan awoke with a sharp gasp, his body trembling violently as he struggled to pull himself from the deep haze of unconsciousness. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion, and his body felt foreign, strange. He blinked rapidly, trying to clear his foggy vision, but it didn't help. The world around him looked different, sharper, as if everything had suddenly been heightened, in clarity. The colors of the room seemed more vibrant, more intense. He pushed himself up from the couch, his breath shallow as he slowly stood. He could feel something inside him, something that had changed. His body felt lighter, yet stronger, as if his muscles were charged with a new energy. But the most unsettling part was his skin. It felt smooth, almost too smooth. His fingertips brushed over his arm, and he froze, his eyes widening as he saw the faint glow emanating from beneath his skin. It wasn't just the glow, it was the feeling, the power. His body felt alive in a way it never had before. His hands trembled as they moved to touch his face. He could feel the faint hum of energy coursing through his veins, and his breath caught in his throat as he realized the inevitable. He was changing. The transformation had begun, and there was no going back. He staggered to the window, looking out at the city below. The familiar skyline, the buildings, the streets, everything seemed so distant now, as if he were no longer a part of it. His reflection in the window confirmed what he feared. His eyes, once brown, were now a glowing pale blue, the same as Lyra's. His veins, too, were glowing, the light pulsing rhythmically beneath his skin, as if his very blood had become something entirely different. A sharp pang of panic gripped his chest. What have I become? He whispered to himself. Behind him, a soft voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. You're becoming more than you were, Ethan. Lyra. He turned to face her, still reeling from the changes in his own body. She was standing in the doorway of the living room, watching him with those same glowing eyes, but this time her gaze was softer, more understanding. There was no judgment, just a quiet reassurance in her presence. "I can feel it," she said, her voice almost melodic. "The power within you is waking up." Ethan swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I don't want this. I don't want to lose myself." His voice cracked with fear, his hands trembling as they gripped the edge of the windowsill. Lyra walked closer, her movements smooth and fluid, like she was floating. She placed a hand gently on his shoulder, her touch warm, almost comforting despite the chaos swirling inside him. "You're not losing yourself, Ethan. You're becoming something more. You are not just human anymore, but something beyond that. The alien DNA inside you is part of you now. It's your choice whether you fight it or let it become a part of you." Ethan turned toward her, his eyes filled with confusion and desperation. "But what if I lose everything? What if I can't control it?" Lyra's gaze softened, and she gave him a small smile. "You won't lose everything. You'll just discover who you were meant to be. The transformation is not about losing yourself. It's about awakening to your true potential." His heart raced in his chest. He could feel the alien energy coursing through him, and with every breath, it seemed to intensify. It was like a fire building inside him, and he wasn't sure how much longer he could control it. Suddenly he staggered, the energy inside him surging painfully. He fell to his knees, clutching his chest as a sharp, burning sensation spread throughout his body. His eyes snapped open in panic. "Lyra, help me!" Without hesitation, Lyra rushed to his side, kneeling beside him. Her hands glowed faintly as she placed them on his arms, her touch somehow calming the storm of power within him. "Breathe, Ethan. You're fighting it. Let go. Trust the process." He wanted to scream. He wanted to reject it. He didn't want to give in to this alien power, to lose himself in the process. But her voice was soft, insistent, like a melody calling him to surrender. And slowly, bit by bit, he did. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes as he tried to push aside the fear that had been gnawing at him. He relaxed his body, letting go of the tension that had been building inside him, and allowed the energy to take over. For a moment, there was nothing but stillness. Then, the power erupted within him, flooding through his veins in a rush so strong that he felt as if his very soul was being torn apart. The pain was overwhelming, but strangely, it felt right. Like this was the way it was always meant to be. His body began to shift, the changes deepening. His skin began to glow brighter, more intense, and his mind, once filled with doubt and fear, began to quiet. Lyra's voice came to him again, soft but firm. "This is the next step, Ethan. You are becoming one with the transformation. Embrace it." His heartbeat slowed, and as he opened his eyes, the world around him looked different. His senses had expanded. He could hear the faint hum of electricity. In the walls, the distant sounds of the city's pulse, like he could feel every heartbeat, every breath. His vision was sharper, the details of the room so crisp that he could see every small imperfection, every crack in the wall, every movement outside the window. And then, he realized something that shook him to his core. He could feel Lyra's emotions, not just her presence, but her thoughts, her fears, her hopes, her pain. It was as if they were connected on a deeper level now. He looked at her, astonished. "I can feel you," he said, his voice a mix of awe and confusion. Lyra smiled, her eyes glowing brighter now, the faintest hint of pride in her expression. "You're not just becoming stronger physically. The transformation also links us. You're becoming more than just human. You're beginning to understand how it feels to be something other." Ethan took a shaky breath, the weight of the transformation pressing down on him. "I don't know if I'm ready for this." "You don't have to be ready," Lyra replied. "This is who you are now. Embrace it. Let it guide you, and together we can face whatever comes next." But deep down, Ethan couldn't shake the nagging fear that the transformation was not just changing his body. It was changing everything he had ever known about himself. The struggle between human and alien was far from over. And the choice he made in the coming days would determine not just his future, but the future of everything he had ever cared about. Ethan stood on the rooftop staring out at the vast city before him. The night was calm, the moon casting a soft glow over the sprawling urban landscape. His senses were heightened to a level he could hardly comprehend. Every movement in the wind, every car passing miles away, every heartbeat in the city, he could feel it all. He was no longer just human. Something deep inside him had changed, and the power coursing through his veins was undeniable. His heart was heavy with the weight of the choice he now faced. Behind him, Lyra stood quietly, watching him with the same calm expression she had worn since he first encountered her. Her glowing eyes softened as she approached him, her presence like a beacon of reassurance in the midst of the storm swirling in his mind. "You're struggling," Lyra said, her voice gentle, but filled with understanding. "I can feel it, the fear, the uncertainty. You know what you must do, but you're afraid of what it will mean for you, for everything you've known." Ethan took a deep breath, his fingers clenched at his sides. He had spent hours, maybe even days, wrestling with what had happened to him. The transformation had taken more from him than just his physical form. It had altered his mind, his emotions, his very understanding of who he was. He wasn't the man he had been, and the more he embraced the alien DNA within him, the more he realized that his connection to Earth, to humanity, was slipping away. He turned to face her, his eyes filled with doubt. "I feel different, like I'm losing everything. My humanity, my identity, everything I thought I was, it's all changing. I can feel this power inside me and it scares me." Lyra stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. "It's not just power, Ethan. It's evolution. This transformation is something beyond you, beyond humanity. It is the next step in your evolution. You were chosen for this." He shook his head, the words burning in his mind. "Chosen for what? To become something I can't even understand? I feel like I'm no longer me. Like I'm just a vessel for this alien DNA." Lyra reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder, her touch comforting yet firm. "You are still you, Ethan. This is not about losing yourself. It's about embracing the full potential of what you can become. You've been given a gift, an opportunity to transcend the limitations of your human form, but it's a choice only you can make." Ethan's mind raced. He thought of his family, his friends, the life he had left behind. Could he really accept this new version of himself? Could he let go of everything he had known to embrace this alien destiny? The thought of abandoning his old life filled him with sadness. The world he had once felt so connected to now seemed so distant, as though it was slipping further away with every passing moment. But there was another part of him, the part that had awakened when he first touched Lyra, that felt an undeniable pull. The power coursing through him wasn't just alien. It was ancient and vast. It was like he could sense the very heartbeat of the universe itself. The connection to Lyra, to the energy within him, was something that transcended the limitations of human thought. And deep down, Ethan knew he couldn't turn back. He had already crossed a line, and there was no way to go back to what he once was. He exhaled slowly, his hands trembling as he took a step forward, his gaze locked onto Lyra. "What happens now? If I choose this transformation, will I ever be able to return to what I once was? Can I still be human?" Lyra's expression softened, her eyes filled with empathy and understanding. "You will still be you, Ethan, but you will be more. The choice is about whether you will fight the transformation and return to the life you once had, or accept what you've become and use it for something greater. Your humanity is still within you, but it is not all that you are now. You can use the power that flows through you to protect, to change the world around you. The decision is yours." Ethan stood there in silence, the weight of her words sinking in. The world felt so much larger now, larger than the confines of his old life. As much as he longed for the simplicity of what he had known, he couldn't deny the truth. This transformation had already changed him. He was no longer the man who had walked into the alley that night, the man who had lived a simple, ordinary life. He had become something more. The pull was undeniable. The potential to be greater, to wield the power within him for something more than just survival. It was a call to something higher. He had the chance to shape his own destiny. He could fight against it and try to return to the life he knew, but he would never truly be the same again. Or he could accept what had happened to him and embrace the power, the new life that awaited him. With a deep breath, Ethan made his decision. "I accept it," he said, his voice steady, though his heart still beat with uncertainty. "I choose this transformation. I choose to embrace what I've become." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, her smile gentle and proud. "You've made the right choice, Ethan. The path ahead will not be easy, but you will never be alone. Together, we will face what comes. You are no longer just a human. You are something greater." As Lyra spoke, Ethan could feel the final pieces of the transformation falling into place. The power inside him surged one last time, flooding his veins with energy, awakening every fiber of his being. He felt the connection to the universe, the cosmic pull that now coursed through him. He was no longer just one man. He was a force, a new entity, bound to the stars. He looked up at the vast city before him, the lights twinkling in the distance like stars. For the first time since the transformation had begun, he felt at peace. The fear, the doubt, it all seemed distant now. He was ready to embrace his new purpose. Ethan was no longer just a human. He was something more.